All right, guys, a little update on what's commonly referred to now as the DJI drone ban. For those of you, if you're a content creator, content provider, and really this ties to like fishing, because a lot of fishing channels have done a really awesome job, and a lot of anglers have done a really awesome job. Think about the MLF Live, think about Bass, think about all these things that have utilized drone technology to deliver really just great content. And I'm not one of those guys. I'm not a big. The reason why this comes up is I just had a conversation early this morning here where I live, and the fact that I literally was just putting a drone in, packing out for a kayak bass fishing camping trip to the New River. And I realized I might as well just do, because I know a lot of people probably have any questions if you're at all paying attention. For me, I live in the DMV, that's a district, Maryland and Virginia, but I live 7 minutes from Washington, D.C., okay? Most of the people, it's a veteran community of the establishment. Most of the people who live where I live work for the government, for Congress, staffers for Congress, lobbyists, all this stuff, okay? I try to stay out of that mess, okay? As best I can. Because I like my mental health. And, I know this is the way it is. But this DJI drone ban, really, on the face of it, if it was a standalone legislation, it wouldn't have passed, okay? It would not have passed, all right? But what happens in D.C., if you don't know, and I hear it all the time, chirp, chirp, chirp all the time about how they wrangle. They're like ranchers, okay? These people up here, okay? They wrangle stuff together, okay? Like you're wrangling a herd, all right, of cattle and stick it in stuff, all right? And so what they've done is they put this DJI, the guys who don't familiar with DJI, if you're not familiar with drones, DJI is probably the #1 selling drone platform in North America, okay? Bunch of different levels from beginning to absolutely advanced. And a lot of these advanced drones, when I say advanced, I'm not talking military grade, okay? I mean advanced for camera technology, action camera, wide angle, those kinds of things for real estate. Think about all the videos you've seen with overhead. They're drones, okay? All of these things. So they want to ban those drones, okay? And really, this is an offshoot of Ukraine, guys, okay? This is how it works, okay, when they want to take your rights away. Now, I know there's no right to fly a drone, so I don't need to get that hate. What I'm talking about is your ability in a free market society to be able to do the things that you want to do, okay? And if you want to fly a drone over your property, or maybe you want to use a drone for security for your property, or whatever, or you just want to use a drone for recreational use within the parameters of the current laws, why not be able to do that, right? Well, there was no problem. Drones were great. Everybody loved drones. All the people up here in the Capitol were investing in drone. Scotty Didio, whatever? Investing in drone companies, okay? Both military grade drone companies, and recreational drone companies, right? Well, what changed? Ukraine is what changed. When these drones have been used, basic $500 drones or less are being used as military drones in Ukraine against Russia, okay? And they've seen that example, and so now they live in this fear grade, where we've always lived in this fear grade, what I call fear grade since 9/11, where everything is seen through fear, okay? And so they're worried about, this technology getting advanced down to the recreational level, to where these drone things can be weaponized, okay? And that's what you hear from people, all right? Well, we can't allow that to happen. We can't allow that to happen. It's like, the gun folks that don't want people to have guns are now like the same, you'd think are the same people who don't want to have people to have drones, but it's not the case. It's not the case, guys. The biggest proponents of this legislation aren't who you think, okay? They are not who you think. It is not coming from the left. It's actually coming from the right, okay? Which is kind of crazy to me, if you think about it. And it causes people to question, like, okay, well, what is it, Jay, what's this actually going to mean? It's not going to mean anything for us right now who actually currently have drones that we have, because those drones have been approved, okay, by the government. Anything flying has to be approved by the FAA, has to be approved for all that process. They all have the codes. You can see them on your drones, even small recreational drones. Anything that flies goes through an approval process for the company and all those things. Those will no longer be approved. So no more submissions, no more patents, no more any of that technology to now advance recreational drone use will be approved now by the government. Okay, so therefore, if you have a current existing drone, you're still going to be allowed to fly it until that drone breaks. Okay, you're not going to get parts. You're not going to be able to get parts because every part that goes in a drone has to be approved. You're not going to be able to get the cameras. You're not going to be able to get anything that goes into an actual drone, stabilizers. So if they break, anything goes wrong on your drone, okay? And when they run out, so what I'm encouraging people to do, seriously, if you're a big drone guy and you're a fishing guy and your content is driven by drone technology, as kind of like layered into your content, you better get your spare parts now, okay? Because a year down the line, you're not going to be able to get those parts. It'll probably take about a year. You're not going to be able to get all those parts. I'm talking about DJI. I'm talking about Autel. I'm talking about any of those technologies. And when you think of drones, okay, now, you currently know if you're in my part of the country, and I can't speak to other parts of the country, we already have limitations on where you can fly drones because of the DC area, because it's the capital city. You can't fly drones really in DC, okay? You can't fly drones over like a lot of federal national parks. Most people don't know that. If you get caught flying, like right down the road from me, about 10 minutes, if you get caught flying a drone in the national park, you're gonna get your drone. You're going to get your drone freaking taken from you, and you're going to get freaking fined by the Department of Interior and the Park Service and all that mess. And so that stuff is real already. So we already have laws that limit where you can fly a drone. Okay? Now, typically it's been acceptable to be able to fly your drones over rivers. Lakes all depend on who owns the lake. Did the state own it? Is it the state? Because some states now have bans on drones, okay? So you can't fly a drone on the water. Now, if it's a river, rivers are precarious because rivers flow through multiple jurisdictions, multiple states, multiple things. So rivers have been kind of left alone in this whole hot mess of drones, okay? So just keep this in mind that, you can't just fly your drone anywhere you want, okay, to begin with. Most people who use drone photography know that. Most of the people who are really adamant about drone photography for their content are licensed. These licenses are going to stop from the FAA. So that whole industry of licensing and taking the class and licensing to get your drone permission to fly a drone, that's going to go away. That industry is going to get demolished because no one's going to be able to buy drones. And why do you need a drone license if you're not in the military, right? Okay, because the military is going to be the only people with drones. And it's not the military, guys. It's the state. It's your state and local police that are going to have drone technology. So law enforcement, the intelligence community, the security community, all of those things that are government, which are all taxpayer-based institutions, are going to be able to fly and utilize technology, and you're not going to be able to in about a year or so, because you're not going to be able to buy a drone. Drones are not going to be allowed to be shipped into the United States. They will be banned from shipping, so you can't go to buy them overseas, Alibaba, Temu, Amazon, whatever. You're not going to be able to buy drones, okay? Because Amazon will take all their drones down. You're not going to be able to buy them. But people will say, Jay, I don't have a negative interaction with law enforcement. What do I care? That's fine. Don't care, okay? But, there are people who utilize drones in a lot of reasonable ways, like in fishing, like on fishing telecasts, like in fishing lives, like your own YouTube, that aren't using drones for nefarious purposes, that aren't using drones threatening anyone, aren't using drones, okay? And again, this goes to this fear mentality of, we're so worried about what people could do with a drone. We're so worried about what people could do with a gun. We're so worried about what people could do that this is the world we now live in. So that's the update. They passed it. Okay? They passed it right down the road, 10 minutes down the road from me. Okay? It got passed, and it got passed not on its own. It got passed, rolled into a defense authorization bill, which always passes. So they folded into a package with a million other things that the defense actually needs, the Defense Department actually needs. Okay? Boots on the ground, special ops, everything. This is what they do here. They wrangle everything that won't pass on its own, and they put it into defense authorization bills because no one wants to go on record and vote against the defense authorization bill because they'll get clowned. It'll get used in the next ad to say they don't support the troops, they don't support defense, they don't support national security. This is how it happens, guys. This is how, okay, the pork gets put through the grinder, okay? And this shit needs to stop. But until someone's willing to come and stop it, you know, it's going to continue to happen. It's why shit never gets done. It's why crap is the way it is. And this is why shit like this happens. Is, again, talk to anybody, standalone bill. Talk to your congressperson. Talk to your U.S. senator. They wouldn't vote for this. But because it got tucked in that bill with a million other things, they probably didn't even know it was in there. And this is what happens. And this is how you change stuff. This is how you change a society. And this is how they know. And this is the game they play now. Okay? They don't make it so you can see it. And sure, it's just drones today. I get it. And most of you probably don't have a drone and probably have never flown a drone. But what else comes next? Right? Like, I mean, they can put anything in these bills, you know, that no one even knows what they're voting on. And so now we'll see what happens with the scrambling and the wrangling afterward. But once it gets out, I mean, there are a lot of people who utilize drones, from landscaping to even just like contractors, real estate developers, you know, people listing their home for sale, you know, all this stuff. And fishing. It's not just like, you know, come on, guys. Like, the majority of people buy drones for legitimate purposes. And now it's going away. And that's why it's called the DJI ban. Because they approved it. So they have said, your government has said, we don't think you should have access to drones. That's where it stands right now, while no one's paying attention. And that's normally how your rights get marginalized and minimized these days in America, because nobody's paying attention.